Dr. Oz did a broadcast a couple of weeks ago where they were looking at stress. And basically it's a lot of the same things that I'm talking about. But they did 3 women, 2 white women and a black woman. And they gave them each this task to complete to sort of assess how they manage stress. And then at the end, they had this white woman who specializes in working with women with stress, and she has created these alternative things. They're all to the vitamins and herbs and stuff to address their particular way. So there was a task, Dr. Oz, they had an hour to prepare this particular meal. All 3 of the women had children, school age. They had like an hour to prepare this meal. They had to go to the grocery store, get the ingredients, prepare the meal. They had this time frame, and also they had to do some laundry and this and that. And
all in an hour?
All in an hour. So it was to create the stress to show how the different ways manage it. It was real interesting. And then they had to have their kids with them. Sure. So the first white woman, she becomes overwhelmed very quickly. And the way her stress showed up is she becomes aggressive, verbally aggressive, snappy, and she didn't know what to do with the kids, and real explosive. Like the second woman, hers was more seething. She felt it in her body more, but she also, it would spill over kind of quickly. The black woman was the coolest in the situation.
It's like every day.
Yes, right. Very cool. She you could see how she incorporated the children. Okay, you fold this and used it. She was stressed, but she said it was just like a real low level. Her thing was I have to stay focused on completing that task. Then what he did in order to give a more visual how the distress was being expressed, based on each of their individual styles, they had something like a bottle, flask thing. There was some sort of solution in there, and then when you drop in some powder, it would flare up, bubble up, and bubble over. You could see a visual representation of how the stress is manifested. The first woman, you drop it in right away, boom, all over the place, blah, 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 blah. Second woman, you drop it in. It was a little slower build up, but once it got there, within 30 seconds, it was bubbling over. The first woman, within 5 seconds, it was showing. The black woman, between the whole rest of the presentation, hers didn't get halfway up. It was just a slow, steady boil, very slow, never bubbled out during the course of that show. Just a slow,
get out of here,
very slow. However, what is not being said is that black woman is experiencing the most damage internally, because the stress is always slow, and it's constant, just doing more damage, and you never see it, so you can't address it. The first white woman, it's there, it's in your face. There's a problem. We have to address it. So they get attention to stuff much sooner because it becomes visible. Whereas for black people, the damage is being done, but it's invisible. You can't see it because you're looking at the chemical reaction in the body. The cortisone levels, they get released when you're under stress. And because with us, we're so used to it and we're so used to containing it. And that's what happens in traumatic situations. You shut down parts of yourself in order to deal with the immediate thing. And we have been in that position. That's why we have much higher rates of blood pressure, diabetes, gout, heart disease. All these things is a direct result of the fact that we are constantly under stress. However, it doesn't show because we have always been forced into a position where we couldn't let it show. You had to keep working. Under the whip, you had to keep working. It didn't matter that your baby was being murdered or raped. You had to keep working. And if you didn't, then you would be threatened with physical harm or death. It's just always this slow boil. It's always a slow boil. And that slow boil, what damage is being done? Because it's sort of like the tumor that nobody can see. If it's a tumor growing out, you can see it. Then, you have a problem. But if it's growing in, you can't see it. But it's doing slow damage. So that by the time you get to it,
It's already.
So
too
by the time
far.
the black woman, by the time hers get to the spillover point, it's been doing all kinds of major damage to the internal organs before it gets here. Especially black women in academia. They have a much higher death rate and early because of the levels of stress that they deal with, and it's constant, and it's always but it never shows. You never tell anybody. You never let them see you sweat.
That's right. That's right.
So because they don't see you sweat, then you never
Then
get.
you're not under stress, and you don't get attention.
And you don't need any attention. You're okay. But this white woman, I can't, she's going to get attention. Squeaky Will gets the oil.
Yo, Broken Heart. Yeah, this man could faces. People without places. Yeah, you them traumatized by the world today. Got no hope, and for it there's no end in sight. So we live we head apart to the most